My name's Chris Gonzalez. I'm fighting at 155 pounds for Bellator MMA. I'm fighting April 2nd, the Mohegan Sun in Hartford, Connecticut against Roger Huerta. Tune in.
Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Aulino reporting for Fired Up Network. We got another edition of the MMA Ground and Pound show where we're happy to be joined by our guest. He's been a guest on here before. We're happy to be joined by him again. He's fighting in Bellator. He's going to make sure his undefeated record is still intact at Bellator 255. He's Chris Gonzalez. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing great. And Chris, there was big news a few weeks back. Bellator signing up with Showtime. And now there's going to be a new platform for you guys to be fighting on. What was your initial thoughts to the news that came out, and what are your thoughts on this new partnership?
Yeah, no, I thought it was super cool. Showtime's obviously been like a staple network and just fighting in general. So it's nice to see them kind of shifting from focusing on the boxing side of things and kind of getting in tune with, I guess, what the cool kids are doing now with mixed martial arts. So I think it's a good network to be with, and hopefully I get to, show and display my talents to everyone who's, subscribed to them. If you're not subscribed, make sure you get a Showtime so you can catch me April 2nd.
Yeah, definitely. And now this whole pandemic has been maybe changing everything. Like, you were fighting right before the pandemic last year, and then you were off for a little bit. You came back in August at the Mohegan Sun. What was that whole process like fighting with fans and then going into this whole new norm in August?
Yeah, it really didn't bother me. Having a wrestling background, I feel like at a lot of, the lower level events, throughout high school and then even early, like collegiately, outside of like your immediate friends and family, which a lot of the times I didn't even have, there when I was doing my thing. It was a relatively small crowd, and there wasn't usually many people in, the auditorium or the venue that you were wrestling or competing at anyway. So it kind of just kind of brought me back to that, let you hear your cornerman a lot better. So there's no reason not to listen to your corners either. But yeah, I was kind of indifferent to it. It didn't really bother me at all.
And also a lot of guys, I heard Benson Henderson even talk about he wanted to get some reps in beforehand, even did a grappling tournament just to get the feeling of what it was like. There were some other guys like yourself who just thought it just brings you back to your wrestling days. When you're actually in that environment, though, is it something where you thought, okay, there's nobody here, maybe it's an advantage for the other guy that you're fighting, or did you find that it was a little easier getting through everything?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I said, I was really indifferent. I think whether or not there's, a fan base there to see it in person and, create that energy or not, I kind of just come with the same energy regardless. It just laser focus, just tunnel vision. I try to stay level-headed and pretty calm, cool, and collected in there, so I don't get too excited or too low of an energy prior to fighting. So yeah, man, I really didn't notice much of a difference. It's always business, fans or no fans.
That's great to hear. And you're going to be taking on Roger Huerta at Bellator 255. And he's an opponent. This is going to be, a lot of people are saying this is going to be your true test here at 155, experienced veteran like himself. And coming into this, is that what you're expecting too? Like, are you expecting a different kind of fight than what you're used to, or is it still business as usual?
Yeah, no, definitely business as usual. I definitely was lobbying for this fight. I've been lobbying for it for quite some time, actually. They tried to offer me a couple other guys, which I accepted. And, for whatever reason on their part, it just didn't work out. But, they came back with Roger. I was really excited for that. Even prior to getting this fight with Roger, my last two opponents, I think prior to me fighting them, had a combined record of like 15-1 prior to me fighting them. So, I mean, I'm fighting tough guys, even though they may not have that exposure or, just that exposure yet. I know that I'm fighting guys who are going to be, if not a problem now, in the near future. I'll probably run into some of those guys later on down the line. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to fighting Roger. He's been around and he's been in the game for a long time. He's done some great things. So yeah, I mean, just business as usual. Just keep chipping away and just keep asserting myself.
And what do you think a win over a guy like that would do for your career? Would it be like the huge stepping stone that a lot of people see when they fight a veteran, or do you think just because the losses that he has accumulated in the past couple of years might not be that much of a stepping stone in your opinion?
Yeah, even if you look at his recent fights, I think his three last losses are to three title contenders and one champion, or two former champions. I think it was Sidney Outlaw, I want to say Benson Henderson, and then I believe Pitbull. So, I mean, all three of those guys are at the top of the division. So I don't think there's, any reason for anyone to look at Roger differently, from those losses. The Sidney fight, Sidney just kind of controlled the fight with the wrestling and the grappling. But I mean, it wasn't like Roger got hurt or he didn't belong in that fight. So I mean, he's still right there. He's still competing with the top guys. If anything, I just think this is an opportunity for me to, put my name in the mix and, just remind everyone or show everyone that, I'm right up there with all of these cats.
Yeah, for sure. And for those just joining us here, this is a Fired Up Network's MMA Ground and Pound show, being joined by Chris Gonzalez, Bellator Lightweight. And Chris, last time we spoke, you were 2-0. You were going to fight Louis Vargas. Now you're 5-0, getting ready for another tough test. What do you think you've improved on most in your game so far? Like, what part of it has really surprised you in terms of maybe something you didn't think you were going to improve on most in your earlier fights that you're picking up on now?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that anything has come as a surprise. I think when you're putting in the work and logging the hours, you kind of expect to have the improvements, that you're going to see from on a fight to fight basis. So, I mean, I expect all the things that I've been doing, I'm in the gym putting in the work. It's not like I just show up on fight day and, flip a coin and hope it just, it lands on heads or tails either way. The work's being put in, the hours are being logged. So everything I'm doing, I expect to do. But the biggest improvements I would say is just going out there and just being comfortable, not taking what's being presented and not forcing the issue one way or another. And that just comes with experience, and every fight I get a little bit more experienced and a little more comfortable.
Yeah, and being more comfortable also, like coming into the cage there in Bellator, is it something where going into it, do you have any superstitions at all? Or is it just some fighters case-by-case basis?
No superstitions. I mean, there's always going to be nerves involved. I feel like, it just comes along with the territory and, the craft. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be excited. It's just all about just controlling those and not letting them get the best of you. It's like I said, it's a business. You just got to go in there, establish yourself, find your flow, find your breath, and everything's going to happen and play itself out the way it's meant to be. So.
Yeah. With Chris Gonzalez here, Fired Up Network, MMA Ground and Pound show. Chris, a lot of people, in MMA get drawn into different fight camps. There's all the great training camps, fight teams, and managers around there. What drew you towards Team Alpha Male?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just like you said, man. It's just one of those great camps that's available. I've had the benefit and luxury and the opportunity to train at a lot of high level places, just stemming back from my wrestling days and living in Northern Michigan at the Olympic training site there. And then having the opportunity to train with the Army World Class Athlete Program, to living at Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center as well. So, I mean, after training at high levels like that and having high level training partners and high level coaches and access to, high level equipment and technology, that was something that I really appreciated while I was wrestling. So when I finally made that decision to actually switch over to fighting, that was a big thing for me, was finding a similar opportunity and training, just kind of like training step-by-step process. And there aren't many MMA gyms in the world, let alone the country, that, that offer that or have that readily available underneath, one roof. And Team Alpha Male is one of those places. I came out there, I stayed for a couple of weeks, checked it out. I went to a few other places and checked them out, a bunch of other great gyms as well. But I think it was just the combination of, the training partners, the coaching staff, and then, the equipment as well, that I felt was best for me to help me have long-term success.
And who coming into this fight with Roger Huerta, who has been some of the coaches and training partners you've been working with most for this?
Man, there's so many. So apologies if I leave anyone out ahead of time. But we have so many high level guys, man. Every fight camp's usually a little bit different depending on who the opponent is. But I mean, so many guys from Darren Elkins, Andre Feely. I was training with Max Griffin quite a bit. He's fighting this upcoming weekend. Tyler Diamond's been one of my good guys. Eddie Hawk, he's one of the guys kind of under the radar. He's doing his thing in bare knuckle and MMA. He's been a good training partner for me. Kaleo Romero, another young up and coming dude. And then, so many more training partners. But that's just a few off the tip of the tongue. And then as far as coaches go, Danny Castillo is my head coach. I have Joe Rodriguez, who's my boxing coach. I work with him quite a bit. My strength and conditioning coach, Amadeo Novella. Shout out to him. Novella strength and conditioning training. And then, our whole team, Chris Holdsworth is one of our head jiu-jitsu guys. I hit up jits a couple of times a week, and, I get to go in there and take his classes and learn from him. And then, we just have so many coaches. Obviously, you got the General Urijah, who's kind of like the overseer and head of everything. We had a good practice this morning. But those are the main coaches and training partners with, I'm sure, countless people's names left out. But, that'd be it.
Yeah, you mentioned Urijah there, and legend of the sport. What was your
definitely.
first meeting like with Urijah Faber?
That's funny you ask. So I actually met Urijah at a UFC event. I believe the main event was Ronda Rousey versus Amanda Nunes.
Oh, wow.
And so I was at the fight. We had some tickets, and then I saw Faber standing like by the octagon, and he had this huge line of people trying to take pictures with him. And mostly women, mostly like fangirls. But so I mean, and it was like a long line. And I had wanted to come check out Team Alpha Male. I'd heard a lot of good things about it. There was a lot of fighters on the team that I was, that I looked up to and was a fan of just as a spectator at the time. And I kind of just like walked up to him and kind of like walked around his little fan base right there, and I just kind of leaned in, and he made eye contact. I was like, hey, my name's Chris, et cetera, et cetera. I want to come check out your gym. This is my background. And instantly he just he just kind of looked up, and he was like, oh man, I'd love to have you out. Super welcoming. He invited me to come stay at his house. I think I came within a week. I was sleeping in his guest bedroom for a couple of weeks, just like training at the gym a couple of times a day and just getting a vibe for everything. So, yeah, so you're right is that guy for sure.
That's awesome. And as we wrap up here, Chris, how can our listeners follow you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at CGZ Dream. That's CG's Dream. Give me a follow. Hope you enjoy the content. A lot of training, a lot of activities with me and my dogs, a lot of good eating too. So hit that follow button.
Yeah, highly recommend that follow. Chris, I'd like to thank you for sharing your time and coming on here to talk about your upcoming fight, and I wish you all the best.
Appreciate you, brother.